In this video, we will be talking about something called the path and how to customize it. We have been taking for granted all this time that when we type a command, Bash knows how to find it. Bash knows where it is, knows what to do. There's a command type that we can look at. What it's saying is, when I type something, where does Bash find that command? Type PS, for example, is asking Bash, hey, when I say PS, where are you looking? And Bash tells me it's in /bin/ps. In fact, it is hashed, and we'll talk about what that means in a little bit. Now, the type command is pretty smart. It knows about all the places that Bash knows to find a command. For instance, if I say type ls, it says, hey, that's aliased. It's actually an alias for ls ---- color equals auto. Type also knows the alias command is actually built into Bash. There's not a command that gets run or an external program that gets executed. That command, named alias, is built into Bash itself. It's something Bash knows how to do. It doesn't go out and execute another command to run that. We have external commands. We have aliases, which are internal to Bash, and then might be external commands, but there's another layer there that we are not seeing. And then we have internal built-in commands. So for things in that first category that are commands out there on the system, how does Bash know where to look? How does it know that PS is in the bin directory? To answer that question, first we have to talk about something called environment variables. Environment variables set the environment for the shell. You can see there's a whole bunch of them. There's things like the home directory. There's things that define my terminal. There's things that say what directory I'm currently in, what my username is, all kinds of stuff. This top gibberish here is what my terminal is capable of, things like that. You can see it about middle of the screen right here. There's this one path equals. And that path is telling Bash, look in these directories for commands. That's really all it means. Let's go here and let's make that stand out a little more. Echo $path is the way to show what it is set to. It is customary to put environment variable names in all capitals. It's not necessary. There's nothing specific about that. It's just a nice way to distinguish them from other variables. What's special about environment variables, really the only thing that's special about them, is when I fire other shells and when I fire off other commands, those variables all get passed, which is why you can kind of think of them as being like global variables. So we have the path, and it's a set of directories separated by colons, is the syntax of the path. In my case, when Bash is looking for the PS command, here's what actually happens. Bash looks and says, is there a user local sbin PS? Is there a user local bin PS? Is there a user sbin PS? Is there a user bin PS? Is there an sbin PS? Is there a bin PS? We found it. It's exactly that. It is a first match in this list going from left to right is what happens. If I put a PS in user local bin, for example, that is the command that will get executed, not the one in /bin. Back to when I say type PS, it says it's hashed. So what the shell does, the first time it has to look, first time I run the command PS, it actually has to look, and it does exactly that algorithm I just talked about. It looks in this directory, it looks in this directory, it looks in this directory, it'll go through the whole list. And if I say, fiddle, I get command not found. So that went through the entire list and did not find a command called fiddle. And then Bash tells me, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no command called fiddle. In the case of PS, it stops when it finds PS. So it stops as soon as it finds one. So if one's in a later directory, you'll never execute that one unless you specify the path to it. The hashed means that Bash has remembered that answer. We can prove this. Let's start up a new Bash. What we've done is we've just created another instance of Bash. And if I say type PS, it finds it via the path. It says, hey, this is in /bin/PS. Then if I run the command PS and type PS again, now it says it's hashed. Bash remembers because I've asked it to do it once. It says, hey, if you did it once, you might want to do it again. I'm just going to remember that location. And the hash is basically the algorithm that's being used to remember that. It's called a hashing algorithm. Not something you need to worry about. Hashed just means remembered is what you can think of it as. We can type exit to get out of that shell. It's easy to extend the path. What if I wanted to add a directory? One common thing to do is to put a bin directory under your own home directory, like /home/jeff/bin. And if I wanted to do that, and I wanted those commands to be available to me to type without a full path, what would I do? Here's the syntax. Path equals, notice there's no $sign there, and there's no spaces, and both of those things are important. No $signs, no spaces. Now I could specify the whole path just like it's given and add to it, but I can do a little shorthand. I can say $path, :/home/Jeff/bin, and close the quote. Now a few things that are important about this. When I say path equals, I'm basically doing the assignment to what path is. When I say $path, I'm saying, just like when I said echo $path, I'm saying that whole string, /USR/LOCAL/SBIN, etc. $path is going to get replaced with that value. And then add a colon to that value and put /home/Jeff/bin. Now the double quotes there matter. Quotes tell the shell to gather things together as one argument. That's essentially what the quotes do. And you can use single quotes or double quotes. Double quotes are the ones that we would call a quotation mark. Single quotes are the ones that we would normally call an apostrophe. The difference is single quotes means a literal string. Don't interpret anything inside it. We've talked about the bash or any shell interprets the line and then executes the line. When you close something in single quotes, you are saying this is a literal string. Do not do any interpretation of what's in between these quotes. When you use double quotes, you say, feel free to interpret what's in between these quotes. So we need to make sure it's double quotes, no spaces, and then we can do that. And then if I echo $path, you see I have the string that I used to have, and then a colon and /home/Jeff/bin. And that's really all there is to it. It is best to use this syntax. Like I said, you could specifically set the path to something, but there's a default that's set by the system. And so anything you do, you should just add to the path. Don't try to mess with it or replace it. Just add to it like we did here, and that will do what you want to do most of the time.